Okay. Does someone want to read 19 for us? I will call on you. Kamani.
A strong correlation exists between what people value and the way they act. For example, those who value wealth tend to choose higher paying jobs in undesirable locations over lower paying jobs in desirable locations. Thus, knowing what people value can help one predict their actions.
Okay, awesome. And where would you say the conclusion is for this?
The last sentence.
Okay. And why is that?
Because I feel like, well, the second sentence in the statement is definitely like an example. And I feel like the first sentence is more like a principle. And then like the last sentence is like saying like what they, like
Okay.
a conclusion.
Hey, Kamani, what's a principle?
It's like a rule or a saying.
Yeah, it's a rule. Is that a rule?
No, it's a recommendation. I don't know. I always get what it is. It's just a fact.
It's just a fact.
Okay, a fact.
I was gonna argue with this. Like, I love how you are making progress with your conclusions by trying to put them into buckets, and it really doesn't matter that you're not technically.
Oh, okay. It's just a fact.
It matter that you're putting them into like not the correct buckets at this point. It will have more difficult questions, but that first one is just a fact, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because we're not trying to argue we're not trying to prove this correlation exists. Like the correlation exists. We just have to accept that. Like no one's arguing that this correlation isn't true.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, you're good, Krishna. Sorry. I just knew Kamani talked about concessions in class on Saturday.
No, I literally picked on that too. Another thing that clues me in is the word thus. And I think it's really important that we went over that first sentence because I think for a lot of us, it's really hard to accept things on the LSAT as just fact. Everything does look like a conclusion if you don't read into it, knowing that some things you just have to accept. Premises are premises. You just have to take them as fact, even if you're not sure if they're true or not. They just are.
If they say all cows are green, all cows are green.
It doesn't matter if it seems implausible. It doesn't matter if you don't know if it's true or not. If they say it's true, it's just true. And we have to be really, really okay with something that uncomfortable because it is super uncomfortable to read something and go, well, I don't really know if that's true. I don't care if you don't know if that's true or not. The LSAT is telling you it's true, therefore it's true.
It's even worse when you know it's not true.
Yeah.
It's terrible. They're going to tell you things sometimes like that make absolutely no sense. You're like, okay, I know that's not real, but for the sake
Abraham Lincoln was the first president of the United States. Well, I mean, it's never going to be that obvious, but if that was ever said, like you just have to accept it as true for being a premise.
So these are one of those questions that I think is super uncomfortable because you read that first sentence and you're like, okay, well, why? But it doesn't matter. Like it's there. They're telling you it's true, and therefore you just have to accept that it's true. So then you have this background information, an example, and then the conclusion. Thus, knowing what people value can help one predict their actions. Jasmine, what did you say was the answer?
I said it was B.
Okay. Then let's go over or what did everyone else say was the answer? I'm very curious.
Hold on, let me check. Sorry, I was in a rush when I did this. Hold on.
Okay.
I picked E.
Okay.
Yeah, I picked E. This is 19, right? Yeah, I picked E also.
Did anyone pick anything else? Or Jasmine, were you stuck on anything else?
I got, when it said reliable indicator, I didn't see that them actually say it was a reliable indicator. That's why I didn't pick it. But I guess I don't see why it's still not, why it's the answer.
Okay. Let's take a look at B and E then. B, people's claims concerning what they value are symptomatic of their actions. This is really weird to me. People's claims are symptomatic of their actions. What the hell does that even mean?
And do we talk about in our conclusion where we say knowing what people value can help one predict their actions? Do we talk about people making any claims there at all? So that's how I would at least be able to cross off B.
This is one of those answer choices where I would have kept open just because I didn't understand what it meant. And again, just because you don't understand what it means doesn't mean it's a good reason to cross it off. Nicole's reason for crossing off is valid. That's good reasoning. But me saying, I don't know what the hell this means is not good reasoning. But let's take a look at E. What people value can be a reliable indicator of how they will act. And our conclusion says that knowing what people value can help you predict their actions. If something can help you predict someone's actions, that's a good indicator of how they will behave. So that's where reliable indicator comes from. Oftentimes, these questions aren't going to give you word for word replications of the conclusion. You have to understand the context clues of the sentences around it and the words around it, and then fill it in and try to find the best words that replicate what it means. And that's super unfortunate because like sometimes it gets really confusing. But between this, if you're looking at B and E makes a lot more sense. It almost is saying exactly word for word what the conclusion is actually saying, but it switches, can help one predict with reliable indicator.
I think sometimes we get a little bit confused on E2 because reliable to me sounds a little bit stronger than help. Like I don't think it's completely synonymous, but when we say can be a reliable, so we're not guaranteeing that it's going to be reliable. We're just saying it potentially could be, which helps me select it because it is a little bit, I think that can be helps bring it down a little bit and make it a little bit less strong. Where if it took out can be and says what people value is a reliable indicator, I would be like, "Ooh, I think that's a little too strong."
It literally would change the answer. If it's saying it is a reliable indicator, it doesn't match the conclusion anymore. The conclusion says it can help. So if it said if it is a reliable indicator, it wouldn't be the answer to me anymore.
And we are going to spend some time in class tomorrow talking about like the difference between top down and bottom up questions. We haven't yet, which will help us with eliminating some wrong answer choices. I just didn't want to overwhelm people with too much content in one evening.
Does this help though, Jasmine? Do you understand why E is a good answer now?
I understand.
Awesome. I'm going to stop recording this.